A few days after my father's funeral, I found myself cornered in the living room by my husband, Ryan, and his mother, Kate. Mia, Kate said, her voice cutting through the air like a blade. You need to transfer everything your father left $100 million and the estate into Ryan's name. It's what's best for the family. My heart pounded as I stared at her, shocked. The words felt surreal, as if I were trapped in a nightmare. No, I said, my voice trembling but firm. My father left this to me, and I'm not giving it to anyone. Before I could react, Ryan's face turned red with rage. In an instant, he yanked my hair and slapped me hard across the face. The sting burned my cheek, but the betrayal cut far deeper, and it didn't end there. What happened next was even more dangerous. Hello, I say now, my voice steady despite the memories flooding back. My name is Mia, and I am 30 years old. This is my story, a story of betrayal, resilience, and the strength it takes to rebuild from ashes. It's not just my story, but also one of my father's love and sacrifices, which became the foundation of everything I am today. 5 years ago, life seemed simpler. I lived with my husband, Ryan, and his mother, Kate, in a modest house on the outskirts of Havenwood. At first glance, it might have appeared like an ideal family setup, but beneath the surface, there was a price to pay, one that only I truly understood. You see, my presence in their home wasn't based on love or unity, but on silent sacrifices. My father, Ethan, was the one who bore the weight of our household expenses. Month after month, he sent money to ensure everything ran smoothly. Never once did he complain, but I could see the toll it took on him, how he skipped small luxuries and worked tirelessly to support me, his only daughter. Kate, an authoritative and calculating woman, ensured her dominance was never questioned. Mia, it's for the family, she would say whenever I protested. Your father can afford it, so why not keep things comfortable for everyone? Her words, veiled in condescension, left no room for disagreement. Ryan, my husband, rarely intervened. His silence felt like betrayal too, his indifference a sharp contrast to the promises we once exchanged. Despite the suffocating environment, I stayed. I clung to the hope that things would improve, that love would outweigh the financial strings tethering me to this family. But as the years passed, my relationship with Ryan felt increasingly transactional, and my father's quiet sacrifices began to weigh on my conscience. Then came the day that changed everything. One morning, as I prepared breakfast, my phone rang. It was a call I never expected, a call that would alter the course of my life forever. I'm so sorry, Mia, the voice on the other end said. Your father, he passed away this morning. A sudden heart attack. The world stopped spinning. My father, my protector and anchor, was gone. I felt my knees buckle, the weight of grief too heavy to bear. For days, I moved like a ghost, my mind consumed with memories of him. He had always been there for me, and now, in the most profound way, he was gone. The days following my father's death were an unbearable haze of grief and numbness. It felt as though the world had lost its color, leaving me in a muted, endless gray. Amid the mourning, I received a call from my father's lawyer, Mr. Benson, who asked to meet me regarding my father's will. I wasn't ready to confront the legalities of his passing, but I knew I couldn't avoid it forever. Sitting across from Mr. Benson in his quiet, book-lined office, I listened in disbelief as he explained the contents of my father's final wishes. Mia, your father left you his entire estate, he said, sliding a stack of neatly organized papers toward me. This includes a sum of $100 million and his property in Havenwood. My breath caught. Havenwood's estate wasn't just any property, it was a sprawling mansion nestled in one of the city's most prestigious neighborhoods. I had known my father was successful, but the magnitude of his wealth was overwhelming. He wanted to ensure your future was secure, Mr. Benson continued. He was very clear that this inheritance is solely for you. I nodded, barely able to comprehend the weight of his words. This wasn't just wealth. It was a symbol of my father's love and sacrifices. Though the money was significant, it didn't fill the gaping void left by his absence. When I returned to the house, I shared with Ryan and Kate. I made the decision to keep the inheritance a secret for now. It felt deeply personal, a gift from my father meant to protect me. But secrets have a way of revealing themselves, especially when those around you are watching closely. It wasn't long before Ryan and Kate began to notice subtle changes. My quiet trips to the estate, my meetings with the lawyer, and the documents I carefully organized all piqued their curiosity. Kate, ever the sharp observer, was the first to bring it up. "Mia," she said casually one evening over dinner, her tone laced with forced politeness. "What exactly did your father leave you? He must have had some assets, right?" I hesitated, her question feeling like a trap. Ryan's eyes were fixed on me, his usual disinterest replaced with pointed attentiveness. I decided to answer cautiously. "He left me some money and a property," I said, keeping my response vague. Kate's expression didn't change, but I saw the gleam of interest flash in her eyes. Ryan leaned forward slightly, his tone uncharacteristically warm. "That's generous," he said. "A property in Havenwood, that must be something." I nodded, giving nothing away, but I could already feel the shift in their demeanor. Their curiosity soon turned into an unsettling attentiveness. Kate's sharp remarks softened into compliments, and Ryan began acting like the caring husband I had longed for. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that their kindness was calculated. Weeks passed, and Ryan and Kate's newfound kindness became increasingly unsettling. Small comments and subtle hints evolved into direct questions about my inheritance. Their probing felt invasive, and their motives were becoming alarmingly clear. "Mia," Kate said one afternoon as we sat in the living room, sipping tea. Her voice carried an air of fox concern. "You've been through so much lately. Your father would want you to use his legacy wisely, for the benefit of the family." Ryan, seated beside me, placed a hand on my shoulder in a gesture that felt more possessive than comforting. "Exactly," he chimed in. "We're a team, Mia. We can help you manage everything. You don't have to handle this burden alone." The word burden struck me. My father's inheritance wasn't a burden. It was a gift meant to secure my independence. Their insistence that it was something to be managed by them only deepened my suspicions. The pretense of their concern couldn't last forever. One evening, as I was organizing some paperwork in the living room, Kate and Ryan entered with uncharacteristically serious expressions. Gone was the veneer of kindness. They were done pretending. "Mia," Kate began, her tone commanding. "It's time we talked about what's best for this family. You need to transfer the estate and the money to Ryan's name. It's the logical thing to do." I froze, the weight of her demand sinking in. "What?" I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Ryan stepped forward, his expression cold and resolute. "You heard her. You're part of this family, Mia. What's yours should be ours. Transfer everything." I took a step back, my heart pounding. "No," I said, summoning every ounce of courage I had. "My father left this for me. It's his legacy, and I won't let you take it." Ryan's jaw clenched, his temper flaring. Kate crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing. "Don't be foolish, Mia," she snapped. "We've done everything for you. It's time you repaid us." Her words struck a nerve, igniting a mix of anger and fear within me. "Repay you," I said, my voice trembling. "Everything my father sacrificed for this family, and now you want to take his legacy too?" "No, I won't do it." Ryan's face contorted with rage. In a flash, he lunged toward me, grabbing my arm with such force that it left me breathless. "You think you can just say no?" he snarled, his grip tightening painfully. "Let me go," I shouted, struggling to free myself. But instead of releasing me, he yanked me by the hair and slapped me hard across the face, the impact sending me stumbling backward. "You will transfer everything to me," he yelled, his voice echoing through the room. "You of this family, Mia. We've done everything for you." Kate watched from the side, her arms crossed, her expression cold and unfeeling. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be," she said, her tone dripping with disdain. "That money belongs to this family, not just you." I clutched my burning cheek, tears streaming down my face. But even through the pain, I refused to back down. "No," I said, my voice breaking but firm. "You can threaten me all you want, but I will never give you what my father left me." Ryan's fury reached a boiling point. "Fine," he spat. "If you won't do this willingly, then you're no longer welcome here. Pack your things and get out. I'm done with you." Kate smirked, clearly satisfied with the outcome. "Don't expect any sympathy, Mia. You brought this on yourself." Tears blurred my vision as I stumbled toward my room. My heart raced, and my mind was a whirlwind of emotions: pain, fear, anger, and a growing resolve. I had given everything to this family, and this was how they repaid me. As I packed my belongings, I realized this was no longer just about my inheritance. It was about reclaiming my dignity and my life. Ryan appeared at the door moments later, divorce papers in hand. He thrust them toward me with a sneer. "Sign these before you leave," he said coldly. "You're nothing without this family. Good luck surviving on your own." I snatched the papers from him, refusing to let him see my tears. "I don't need your luck," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "And I don't need you." By the time I left the house that night, I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with devastation. My father's sprawling estate in Havenwood became my refuge, a safe haven where I could begin to heal. But even amidst the safety of my new surroundings, the bruises on my face and the ache in my heart served as constant reminders of Ryan and Kate's cruelty. In the quiet of my new home, I realized I couldn't let them get away with what they had done. Their greed and violence had gone too far, and it was time for me to take a stand. The very next morning, I sought legal counsel. My lawyer, David, listened intently as I recounted every detail, from their sudden demands for my inheritance to the physical abuse I endured when I refused. "This isn't just a case of inheritance," David said, his tone firm. "It's about abuse, coercion, and manipulation. We have enough here to build a strong case." He advised me to document everything: the bruises, the threats, and even the text messages Kate and Ryan had sent in their attempts to intimidate me. I'd also filed for a restraining order against both of them, ensuring they couldn't come near me or my property. Knowing I had the law on my side gave me a sense of empowerment I hadn't felt in years. However, Ryan and Kate didn't back down easily. They tried to intimidate me through mutual acquaintances and even attempted to enter my property one night. But the restraining order was already in place, and when they showed up uninvited, I called the police. Watching them be escorted off the premises was a small but satisfying victory. The legal battle began soon after when Ryan contested my father's will, claiming that as my husband, he was entitled to a portion of the inheritance. His argument was weak, built on lies and entitlement, and David dismantled it piece by piece in court. Kate, ever the manipulative figure, tried to sway the proceedings, but her arrogance became her downfall. During the trial, the evidence of their abuse became the turning point. Photographs of my bruised face, witnesses who had overheard their threats, and text messages demanding the inheritance painted a damning picture of their greed and malice. The courtroom was silent as the judge delivered the verdict. Based on the evidence presented, it is clear that the inheritance left by Mia's father was intended solely for her. Furthermore, the actions of Ryan and Kate demonstrate coercion, abuse, and harassment for which they must be held accountable. A wave of relief washed over me as the judge ruled in my favor, upholding my right to the full inheritance and the estate. But that wasn't all. Punitive damages were awarded for the abuse and emotional trauma I had endured. Ryan and Kate would face the consequences of their cruelty. Ryan was charged with domestic abuse and sentenced to community service, along with mandatory anger management classes. His attempts to manipulate the legal process had backfired spectacularly. Kate, on the other hand, was fined heavily for harassment and ordered to stay away from me permanently. Their smug arrogance had finally been stripped away, and justice had been served. As I left the courthouse that day, I felt an overwhelming sense of closure. The bruises they left, both physical and emotional, would take time to heal, but I could finally begin to rebuild my life without their shadow looming over me. The peace of my father's estate became a sanctuary where I could focus on the future. But as I walked through the grand halls and sprawling gardens, I realized this wasn't just a place to heal. It was an opportunity to honor my father's memory in a meaningful way. My father had always spoken about giving back to the community, and I wanted to continue his legacy of generosity. After weeks of planning, I decided to transform the estate into a shelter for women who had endured domestic abuse. I knew firsthand how isolating and terrifying such experiences could be, and I wanted to create a space where others could find solace and strength. Renovating the estate was both exhausting and fulfilling. Each room was designed with care, ensuring it felt warm and welcoming. The gardens became a tranquil space for reflection, and partnerships with local organizations provided counseling, legal aid, and job training for the women who sought refuge here. It was a labor of love, and every detail reflected the spirit of compassion my father had instilled in me. The shelter officially opened its doors months later, and soon the house was filled with the stories of women reclaiming their lives. Among them was Anna, a young mother escaping an abusive marriage, and Grace, a retired teacher who had been financially exploited by her relatives. Their courage and resilience inspired me, reminding me of my own journey. One evening, as I walked through the gardens, a familiar voice called out to me. "Mia," it said softly. Turning, I saw Jacob, my childhood friend, standing with a warm smile. "Jacob," I said, surprised but happy. "What brings you here?" "I heard about what you're doing here," he said, gesturing to the estate. "I wanted to see it for myself, and to see you." We spent hours catching up, reminiscing about our childhood and sharing stories of the challenges we had faced as adults. Jacob's kindness and sincerity were a stark contrast to the chaos I had endured with Ryan and Kate. His presence brought a sense of calm I hadn't felt in years. As the weeks passed, Jacob became a steady presence at the estate. He volunteered his time, helping with repairs, organizing fundraisers, and even mentoring some of the women. His selflessness and support warmed my heart in ways I hadn't thought possible after everything I had been through. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun set over the sprawling gardens, Jacob led me to a quiet spot under the canopy of golden trees. His voice was steady but tinged with nervousness. "Mia, what you've built here is extraordinary," he began, his gaze locking with mine. "You've inspired me in ways I can't even describe. I've always cared for you, and I want to be part of this life you're creating. Will you marry me?" Tears welled up in my eyes, this time not from pain, but from the overwhelming joy of finding someone who truly valued and respected me. "Yes, Jacob," I said, my voice steady but filled with emotion. "I would love to marry you." Our wedding was a simple but beautiful affair held in the very gardens where Jacob had proposed. Surrounded by the women who had become like family to me, we exchanged vows of love, partnership, and hope for the future. For the first time in years, I felt a profound sense of peace and happiness. With Jacob by my side, the estate continued to flourish. We expanded the programs for the residents, introducing workshops, educational classes, and networking events to help them regain their independence. Watching these women grow stronger and more self-assured reminded me of my own journey and how far I had come. The shelter became more than just a refuge. It transformed into a thriving community. Each woman who passed through its doors left her mark, and their collective resilience created an unbreakable bond. Stories of healing and hope echoed through the halls, and I felt my father's presence in every corner of the estate. This was his legacy, and I was proud to carry it forward. Life with Jacob was everything I hadn't known I needed. His patience, kindness, and unwavering support reminded me daily that I deserved happiness and peace. Together, we built a life centered on love and purpose, finding joy in the simplest moments: a quiet dinner on the porch, a walk through the gardens, or a heartfelt conversation under the stars. One day, as we sat on the patio watching the women and children laughing in the garden, I turned to Jacob with a smile. "We've created something beautiful here," I said, my voice filled with gratitude. Jacob took my hand, his warmth grounding me. "No, Mia, you created this. I'm just lucky to be part of it." As the seasons changed, so did my perspective. The pain and betrayal I had endured no longer defined me. Instead, they became the foundation for something greater, a life filled with resilience, compassion, and endless possibilities. Kate and Ryan were nothing more than distant memories. They had faced the consequences of their actions, and I had moved on, leaving their shadows behind. The scars they left had faded, replaced by a strength I hadn't known I possessed. Standing amidst the laughter and joy of the community I had nurtured, with Jacob by my side, I knew I had finally found my place in the world, a place of love, resilience, and new beginnings. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Mia's story of resilience, courage, and triumph. Life often presents us with unexpected challenges, but as Mia's journey shows, every setback can lead to a new beginning if we have the strength to rise again. Her story is a testament to the power of standing firm against greed and abuse, honoring the sacrifices of loved ones, and building a brighter future even from the darkest moments. Mia not only reclaimed her life, but also turned her pain into a source of hope and healing for others. If you found this story inspiring, please don't forget to like the video. It helps us bring you more uplifting and empowering content. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Which part of Mia's journey resonated with you the most? Share your reflections in the comments section below. Your feedback is deeply valued and inspires us to create more meaningful stories. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more engaging stories like this one. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We have so much more to share with you. Thank you for being part of our community. Your support means the world to us.